talking about doing this video for a long time, and I'm finally sitting down to do it. My oldest daughter, she was just recently diagnosed with autism, medically diagnosed. I wanted to kind of talk about like what led up to this diagnosis, like, kind of what I was seeing, and just kind of like how the whole process went, what she's gone through, and I guess just kind of like share my experience to kind of help anyone, because sharing her diagnosis to like my social media account, I realized like how many people responded back and just like how helpful it was for me to be as open about it as I am. And I'm just kind of like an open book anyway. Like, I feel like everyone cares about what I say, and if they don't, I'm still gonna talk. I guess I should start with kind of what made me think that something was different. Ever since Aria was 18 months, and it's probably like even younger than that, and I remember saying to my husband, I'm like, babe, like, she doesn't really look at me. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, yes, she does. She looks at me. Like, she just probably isn't paying attention. Like, you know how she is. When I would talk to her, like, she just kind of wouldn't make that eye contact with me. There were some times when I would say Aria and she would, but I would say that was about 20% of the time. That was kind of just like I wonder if she has something going on. Autism wasn't necessarily on my radar at that point. I more so thought that she had ADHD. Another thing that I was like starting to pay attention to at that time was like her sleeping habits. She was never a good sleeper. She never slept through the night. I think out of her whole life, and she'll be 5 soon, out of her whole life, I can count probably on, my hands how many full nights of rest she has had. And she's going on 5 years old. So even to this day, there are a lot of nights that are just not a full night of sleep. She had issues getting to sleep. So talk about like trying to put her to bed would take hours. And I mean hours. Probably up until the time she was like 2.5, she would be waking up like every couple of hours. And it would be where she would wake up, and I don't know if she would be in a dream or not, but she would wake up and kind of have these, I call them tantrums that would last so long. So like it would take maybe an hour or two to calm her down, like to console her and to be able to understand what it is that she wanted. And at the time, of course, she was like less than 2, or, going on 2. Like, she wasn't like able to be like, yeah, this is what I want. You know what I mean? Like, so we kind of just thought like once she got to that age, she would grow out of it. As she got older, we realized, okay, something is going on here. Like, she is not getting good rest no matter what we try. She would just be wired. Then I started to kind of notice how she dealt with people socially. So she kind of grew up in lockdown. Like for that year, we sheltered her. For that 1.5 years, maybe 2, we sheltered her. Like, we didn't let anybody in the house. We didn't really let her go out. I noticed that like she was social, like she has social skills, but it was just odd. It's a little bit different. Like, and I say odd in a good way because, first of all, everything Aria does to me is like stellar. Okay, honey? Like, she's top notch to me. Literally, she can halfway do no wrong. Halfway. Because sometimes she does, and I have to get on her ass. But I'm saying, like, it was a little odd in a sense that, like, it was nothing tangible, like, nothing you could really say, like, oh, this, but it was just something about it. And then another thing was that a lot of times she was in her own world. And of course, like kids, they're toddlers, young kids, of course they're in their own world, but hers was a little bit different. So she could be literally with someone, but then, looking off and like kind of talking and just kind of literally in her own world. Like, you can tell she has left this plane and she is in Aria land. And I love that for her. But yeah, those are some of the things like, that I really started honing in on. Now, as time has passed, another couple of things that I have noticed is like her flapping. So I noticed that she would flap. Typically, it was when she was happy or really, really upset. That's how you knew you were kind of either in trouble or you were in good shape. So, and she still does that to this day, which I love. She flaps and she just, you know, just kind of like a little cute little baby bird. I love it. But she also does this thing where she walks on her toes too. She runs on her toes, she walks on her toes. Everything is on her toes. Like, you very rarely see her walk regularly. And she's always running. She's always running. Wherever she's going, she's running. To the bathroom, she's running. To the fridge, she's running. To the couch, she's running. To the bed, she's running. To brush her teeth, she's running. Like, my baby is on go, okay? She has somewhere to be and she has to be there fast. So, yeah, that was another thing. The biggest thing I forgot to talk about is her tantrums in general. So not just connected to sleep, but her tantrums in general. And they get pretty severe, and especially for her age. And they would last very, very, very long. That really, really concerned me and Dad. That was like probably the breaking point. That was kind of like the things that I saw and things that I was looking for or just found, I guess, as far as my concerns. Now, again, remember, autism wasn't always on my radar. It actually was more recent, maybe like in 2021, it started to be on my radar. So at that point, she was 3, probably going on 4. Every appointment that she had, every checkup, I would always tell her provider, like, I don't know, like, something's not right. You know, this is what this is what I'm seeing. And I would tell her and she would just kind of be like, oh, you know, it's probably this, it's fine. It's, you know, because it was ever so subtle, I guess, in a sense. But I could see it clear as day. And, you know, so I would be like, okay, you know, but every time we would meet, I would say this, and this, like the same things. And when we finally got to her 3-year checkup, I remember, and I was like, listen, like, this is not right. I can't continue going on like this because it is emotionally draining for me, and I'm worried about her. Like, how is she feeling? You know what I mean? Like, she's having these moments where she can't gather herself, and they're happening every day. And, you know, I don't know what to do to help her. And so after that plea, basically, she recommended that I go through this program called Child Fine. And I guess every state has it. I'm still learning. But yeah, so I went through Child Fine, where they basically did like what I say was like a very vague assessment as far as autism. And I say that because I know the kind of assessment that we went through after that. So it was very generic. I feel like it wasn't really in depth. And basically what they found from that assessment was, you know, that she ticked a lot of the boxes for autistic behavior, but she didn't necessarily meet the criteria. So I guess this was an educational autism assessment. Because she's very, very intelligent and she's a very quick learner. So yeah, so she basically went through that assessment, and they found that she needed an IEP, which is like an individualized plan for school. And they said that she qualified for a half day with their school. It's like a special education school. But also there are children that go there that do not have an IEP, and they pay tuition to go there and such. So she qualified for that school, and they were going to provide some services for her. You know, I still kind of had some like concerns, right? So I'm like, yeah, she qualifies for school, but like, I'm thinking she's autistic, you know, like, and I just don't understand how they're like, no, she's fine. So, you know, over that course of a year, I kept pushing on it, like kind of pressing that button, like, babe, like, I just don't know, like, maybe we need to do something more. And eventually my husband kind of was on the same page. He's like, okay, yeah, we need to continue pushing. You know, we need to not just take what they said. And I'm starting to see some more things that are concerning that I want to help her with, but I don't know how. And we were both on the same page, and eventually we were both on the same page. And my mom had sent me some information through our local hospital system, and I signed up to be contacted. It was a behavioral health and autism assessment. It took 3 months, but we finally got an appointment. We did an intake over the phone, and then we did another intake via Zoom, and then we did an in-person assessment. And I just want to say, these professionals were amazing. They listened to us. They were thorough about their assessments. The in-person appointment lasted 3 hours. Like, we were there for 3 hours, and I don't think it's supposed to last that long. Provider we had picked it up like that. You know, she watched how she plays and how she repeated the same thing every time, and how she wouldn't let her kind of interject on her play, that she had to play Aria's way or not at all. And, it was very rigid, very strict. This is how it's supposed to be, and that's that. And the doctor was able to pick up on that immediately, and I was feeling like I was in great hands. So when we left, I was like, I know for a fact they're going to come back with a diagnosis of autism, because I felt like they were so thorough that if she is not, then I am just psycho. A couple days later, we got the report, and lo and behold, they said she has autism spectrum disorder. It's been almost 2 years now, and I know people are on this journey for a lot longer and go through a lot worse things, but it's been almost 2 years now. It's been hard. It's been hard for us. It's been hard for her, and that's the biggest thing. It hurts us that she hurts, and that she doesn't have everything she needs. And we want her to have everything she needs, of course, like any parent would, you know what I mean? So it was just a blessing from God to get that diagnosis. I was so proud to say, this is my daughter, and this is what she has, and now this is what I can offer her, that she can now live her life the best way that she can, because she has a million trillion therapies lined up. But things to just help her progress and evolve and be her best self. And I never want her to not be herself. Like, I love who she is. What would I recommend for people that may be going through the same thing, someone may ask? I recommend pushing. Keep pushing. You know your kid, and something about mama's intuition that is like right. You know your kid, and you know what they need. Believe in that, trust that, and keep pushing. Like, do not let yourself be in denial. Don't let yourself be weak. Don't let yourself be worried about what other people may say. Push and get it done for your kid. At the end of the day, nobody else is going to advocate for your kid as hard as you are. The little one woke up from her nap. Say hi. Say hi. But the fact that she is a Black girl, and those are two things that make it even harder to diagnose autism. And she still was able to get that diagnosis before she was 5. And I am so blessed to have that, so that we can have the resources we need, because it's sad. It's sad that it's that way, but what's wrong? It's sad that it's that way, but it is, and that's what it is. So anyways, we're not going to dwell on any negative stuff today, okay? Look at her negative face. We're not going to dwell on that. That's all I kind of wanted to chat about. I know this was a lengthy video. If you watched it all, God bless your soul. But yeah, thank you guys, and continue to stay tuned. We are going to be writing a book at some point in our lives about parenthood, and probably incorporate her diagnosis into it as well. So yeah, just want to say thanks for watching and say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.